What is Brian Friedman hiding? That's what they said to Deadline after the ruling was made public. They continued, quote, after promising to release all the receipts, Friedman ran into court to keep secret the phone records of who Baldoni, Heath, Sarowitz, Nathan, Wallace, and Abel were calling during their retaliatory campaign. So instead of getting these records from the phone carriers the way that we initially requested, the judge has ruled that if we simply submit more specific requests, we will be able to get the records we are seeking. The spokesperson added, today we will do that, and we are submitting those requests directly to the defendants involved, and we look forward to seeing the records. I mean, it is weird how dumb they think the public is. Like, what do you mean? Why on earth would you be allowed to see every single message that someone has sent for 2.5 years, predating even the time frame that these people were their quote unquote another female cast member that's friends with Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni? Liz Plank. She's basically saying everything. She's like, it's schmiz schmenk. It's schmiz schmella schleller. But I'm not gonna tell you who it is, but it rhymes with schmiz schmella schmerer and sliz slank. That's all I'm saying. So it's ridiculous for her to pretend that she was trying to protect these women. She was desperately trying to signal to the public by dropping not even Easter eggs, just pointed blanket statements like that. So it's a crap argument. The point of this filing is supposed to be for Taylor.
Called them out, saying that in their own filings, they alleged that the smear campaign began in August of 2024, yet they wanted phone records beginning in 2022. The judge said no, and you also can't demand this of so many people. The judge did say that you can submit a much more narrow request. Baldoni's lawyer of the judge's ruling in their favor, mostly, said the following. The court put a stop to Miss Lively's egregious attempt to invade our client's privacy. This is a big win. No matter how the Lively parties may try to spin this decision, the court saw their efforts for what they really are. A desperate fishing expedition intended to salvage their debunked claims long after they already savaged our clients' reputations in the New York Times.
Colleen Hoover was similarly love-bombed by the couple. I think that's what they do. I think Brandon Sklenar, Colleen, Channing Tatum, Isabel Ferrer, everyone was love-bombed. They isolate the person they want to destroy. In this case, it was Justin Baldoni. And then they are the exact opposite, overwhelmingly amazing and kind and offering all kinds of A-list goodies to the people that are around the person that they're trying to target. Oh, Liz Plank, oh, why don't you be a part of this random documentary? Oh, what is it that you want? We are just such good people, even all the way at the top. We're good people. We want to help you. And of course, there is some dark irony here that Colleen Hoover wrote this book about abuse, but seemed unable to pick up the abuse that was happening right under her nose. So she unwittingly, hopefully, I should say unwittingly, played along in this. She allowed Justin and his family to be put in that basement and seemed open to the prospect, as we showed in that old interview with her and Blake, of her getting her movie rights starting to form. That Taylor Swift may have been involved somewhat in the background in what happened to Justin Baldoni. I mean, she was named in the lawsuit for a reason. And like I said in yesterday's show, it was her particular style, these Easter eggs. She was hanging out with them at that time. The New York Times article, a lot of what happened just seemed to have a flavor of Tay. Well, today, her team, and respect to them for the speed at which her marketing team moves, dropped an entire article in the press announcing that her and Blake are taking a break. They're no longer friends because, shocking, Taylor Swift feels used. She always feels used. And she wants nothing to do with the Justin Baldoni situation.
Everything about this scandal demands our attention. It's a dizzying collision of Hollywood fame, rumored manipulations, and explosive revelations threatening to unravel the pristine reputation of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Candace Owens, ever the controversial commentator, stands firmly on the sidelines, throwing verbal grenades and claiming she has receipts that turn the fairy tale image of Blake and Ryan into a carefully engineered power play. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni finds himself in a legal storm that seems intent on devouring his career one subpoena at a time. If you thought the big players in Hollywood preferred to keep their hands clean, think again, because what's happening behind the scenes is anything but innocent. From allegations about leaked text messages to hush-hush protective orders that limit who sees what, this showdown unfolds like a script you'd never believe if it weren't playing out in real time.
I also find it interesting that they're trying to pretend that it's a case, that they're essentially trying to protect people who may have been victimized by sexual harassment, when it was actually Blake Lively in that initial filing that said everything but the name, right? Like when she was trying to imply, like wink, wink, I'm not gonna name Lily Bloom. She was like pulling the Kanye, I'm not gonna say who it was. And then she just says it. She's like, I don't wanna name anybody else in the suit. But if you actually go back and review her initial filing from December 31st or December 20th, also her CRD complaint, she lets us know that it is Isabella Ferrer. It's almost laughable.
Add in the eerie way Taylor Swift's name keeps popping up, Colleen Hoover's inadvertent entanglement, and ex-intelligence operatives stepping into the PR ring, and you have a story so tangled you'll wonder if there's any shred of truth left untainted. But make no mistake, these power moves are about more than just one lawsuit. They're about protecting personal brands, silencing skeptics, and making sure the right people maintain their place at Hollywood's top table. Not long ago, a set of allegations dropped against Justin Baldoni, courtesy of Blake Lively. She accused him of conduct on set that she presented as thoroughly unacceptable, though the details remain locked behind legal documents. Claims alone were enough to send ripples through the entertainment industry. After all, if America's sweetheart, Blake, with her breezy smile and philanthropic veneer, steps forward with a complaint, the tabloids listen. What blindsided everyone was Justin's fierce refusal to remain silent. Instead of taking the usual PR route, issuing a vague apology and slipping out of public view, he openly disputed the claims. Those close to Justin insisted there were mountains of context missing from Blake's version, and soon it became clear that each side was preparing for an all-out war in court.
And a lawyer for the Princess of Evidence-less says, quote, the litigation team for Miss Lively retained Mr. Shapiro to advise on the legal communications strategy for the ongoing sexual harassment and retaliation lawsuit occurring in the Southern District of New York. Well, maybe I'm mistaken. Okay, he's actually been working in the private sector for a while. Shapiro launched his company, 10th Avenue Consulting, in 2015 after a lengthy tenure in the federal government. I still think it's an interesting choice. According to his bio, Shapiro helped lead the Obama administration's response to the H1N1 pandemic, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, the Gulf oil spill, the Boston Marathon bombing, the Japan earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear disaster, as well as numerous cyber attacks, data breaches, wildfires, floods.
Journalists, insiders, and fans were left dizzy from the whiplash of leaks and counterleaks. Then Candace Owens stormed in with her trademark bluntness, calling the entire situation a manufactured hit job on Justin Baldoni. That sounds dramatic. Wait until you hear the rest. Candace Owens is no stranger to controversy. She revels in it, feeding off the tension that arises whenever she calls out what she sees as hypocrisy. True to form, once rumors began swirling that Blake Lively's allegations might not be airtight, Candace took to her platform to dissect every statement from Blake's corner. She claimed to see a meticulously woven narrative aimed at isolating Justin, painting him as a pariah. While some labeled Candace a mere pot stirrer, her unrelenting focus started bringing forward bits of evidence that made people pause.
You showed up and the meeting was still going on. What does that mean? What does that? I showed up and the meeting was still going on. So what are you being victimized by? If I show up at my friend's house and there's a meeting going on and I didn't know it was still going to go on, I don't need to insert myself in that meeting. Justin Baldoni in his lawsuit stipulates that Taylor Swift peer pressured him, and she's not denying that in this article. She's not saying I didn't speak to him, I said nothing, which I would be like, oh, you just used me as an intimidation tactic in your phone, I had nothing to do with it. She is saying that she then went and heaped praise on Blake Lively's version of the opening scene. That's what his lawsuit states. This is when they were talking about that rooftop scene. Okay, so she inserted herself in that. So unless Blake gave her the nudge and said, can you go in there, in which case Taylor Swift is still responsible for having peer pressured him, then there's no deniability here. She can't say, I had nothing, I don't know how I got involved in this. You got involved in it because you peer pressured him to make a change that he didn't want to make to his movie.
She pointed to obscure text messages and half-hidden references in the original complaint that made it seem like Blake and her circle were driving a wedge between Justin and other cast members. Candace insisted that the same manipulative blueprint repeated itself over and over. Everyone Blake wanted on her side got showered with invitations, kindness, and favorable PR coverage, while those backing Justin suddenly lost invitations or had their opinions drowned out. With each new podcast episode or video rant, Candace dangled fresh receipts, and audiences ate it up. Whether you think she's a fearless truth teller or just fueling a scandal for clout, there's no denying Candace has forced this conflict out of the shadows. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, a new name hijacked the headlines: Taylor Swift. Pop Titan, who happens to be longtime friends with Blake Lively, was cited in certain legal documents tied to the case. According to rumors, Taylor attended at least one critical meeting or script discussion where Justin felt pressured to change parts of his project. Justin's side described it as a kind of strategic ambush, with Taylor's star power being used as leverage to tip the conversation in Blake's favor. What's more perplexing is the subtle rift that started showing between Taylor and Blake.
Quote, Shapiro is not without controversy. He was one of the group of 51 former senior intelligence officials who signed the widely cited and subsequently criticized 2020 open letter stating that the Hunter Biden laptop, quote, has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. And that, my friends, is exactly why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have hired him, because he has proven that he is willing to lie without flinching, that he will straight up lie to protect his clients. He will lie to gaslight the public.
For years, they were the epitome of supportive besties, publicly exchanging jokes, cameo appearances, and mutual praise. Yet, in the midst of this scandal, an unexpected media leak announced that Taylor was taking a break from Blake and distancing herself from the fiasco. Candace Owens pointed the finger squarely at Blake, claiming that those iconic Easter eggs Taylor is famous for might have been weaponized to sway public opinion. Did Blake borrow that tactic when dropping cryptic hints about Justin's alleged misconduct? Candace seems convinced. Taylor's official camp denies any deep involvement, but the question of who truly orchestrated these moves still hangs in the air. If you think Ryan Reynolds stayed on the sidelines during all this, guess again. He's not the type to stage a public spectacle, but insiders say he's been working tirelessly behind the scenes to protect the Reynolds Lively brand. A-listers like them maintain squeaky clean images on purpose, and a lawsuit of this magnitude could tarnish that image for good if handled poorly. One of Candace Owens' boldest accusations involves the way Blake and Ryan allegedly love-bomb people they need on their side. Case in point, Colleen Hoover, author of best-selling novels that often revolve around themes of manipulation and abuse. According to Candace, Colleen inadvertently became a pawn in Blake's strategy. When promoting their shared project, Colleen seemed exceptionally chummy with Blake, turning up at screenings, praising Blake's dedication, and subtly distancing herself from Justin. Candace claims that in doing so, Colleen helped create a cool kids' table, leaving Justin out in the cold. The irony? Colleen writes extensively about abusive relationships, yet apparently missed the real-world parallels unfolding around her. Of course, that's Candace's interpretation. Colleen, for her part, insists she was simply excited to see her work adapted and remains diplomatic when pressed about the conflict. As the allegations heated up, Blake's team made an eyebrow-raising decision, hiring an ex-intelligence operative named Michael Shapiro to guide their PR approach. This is no ordinary spin doctor. Shapiro's resume includes a stint in government crisis management, orchestrating narratives during national emergencies, and shaping public perception on issues that soared across headlines. If you think Hollywood is dramatic, Shapiro's background suggests he's fully equipped to steer the media conversation no matter how messy this lawsuit becomes. Candace Owens condemned the move, arguing that it proves Blake and Ryan are determined to keep damning information hidden. She pointed to multiple demands from Blake's legal team, including the infamous attorney's eyes-only protective order. Essentially, that order aims to restrict who can see certain documents and depositions, ensuring any potentially damaging details remain sealed away from public scrutiny, even from Justin himself. And let's not ignore the bizarre demand for 2 years' worth of Justin's phone records, predating any alleged wrongdoing. Critics see this as an overly broad fishing expedition designed to dig up private info and intimidate Justin into silence. Meanwhile, on social media, waves of suspiciously coordinated messages appeared, painting Justin as the villain. Some posts spewed misinformation or personal attacks. Others portrayed Blake as a near saint valiantly fighting for justice. According to Candace, those accounts link back to paid influencer campaigns or specialized PR firms known for burying negative press. It's not the first time we've heard about bot armies in Hollywood, but the possibility that Blake's circle orchestrated all this demonstrates how far some might go to secure a win. Things escalated further when a leaked audio recording surfaced featuring Ari Emanuel, one of Hollywood's most influential power brokers. In it, Ari referred to Justin Baldoni as whatever baloney ballon who cares, and appeared to side entirely with Blake and Ryan. He even went so far as to casually admit he dropped Justin as a client, a move many interpret as an orchestrated blow to Justin's future in the industry. On top of that, Ari seemed to joke that Justin's predicament was an effed up situation, effectively brushing aside the seriousness of a potential smear campaign. What's baffling is Ari Emanuel's selective moral compass. He has been known to stand by other stars embroiled in controversies, refusing to cast them aside despite significant public backlash. Yet he dropped Justin with astonishing speed, and in the worst possible manner, if that leaked audio is indeed genuine. To Candace Owens, the meaning is clear. Big players in Hollywood are protecting themselves by rallying behind the biggest names, and if you challenge those names, you become disposable. She interprets Ari's words as confirmation that a more extensive cover-up is at play, with Justin as the sacrificial lamb to preserve the reputations of the powerful. The legal side of this drama reads like a never-ending saga. Blake's team tries to pry into Justin's private communications. Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, pushes back fiercely, labeling their demands invasive and wholly irrelevant to the actual timeline of events. Accusations of hypocrisy fly in both directions. Blake's attorneys claim Justin refuses to hand over evidence, implying he must be hiding something. Justin's camp counters that it's blatantly unfair for someone who publicly shared confidential texts and emails with the New York Times to then cry about privacy. One particularly telling detail is how multiple motions from Blake's team have extended the court proceedings. Critics suggest these filings are a strategic attempt to drain Justin's resources and keep him mired in paperwork, depositions, and incessant legal fees. The longer it drags on, the more pressure for Justin to settle or withdraw. It's a tactic that can feel downright predatory in a system where star power and financial might often overshadow the merit of any claims. Adding to the tension, Justin has launched his own countersuit against the New York Times, accusing them of biased coverage that parroted Blake's storyline without verifying the details. The newspaper's defense? They argue the piece in question was primarily opinion, not a definitive statement of fact. That doesn't sit well with Justin's supporters, who feel like the lines between straight news and editorializing were deliberately blurred. As the case trudges forward, the rumor mill keeps churning. Some castmates who once showed solidarity with Justin now keep suspiciously quiet, or worse, outright shift their stance. Candace Owens is convinced Blake's team has extended hush-hush offers, maybe a role in a future production, a shiny endorsement, or some VIP introduction, to secure their silence. Others suggest that nobody wants to risk a standoff with a power couple like Blake and Ryan, who have deep ties in every corner of the industry. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, it's rumored that even more celebrities have weighed in, some privately supporting Justin, others ready to defend Blake no matter the cost. Question is, how many people will speak up publicly and risk being blacklisted? In a cutthroat industry, safety in numbers only matters if you have the kind of star wattage that can withstand potential backlash. Clearly, Candace Owens feels unstoppable. Her platform isn't tied to Hollywood's inner workings, so she can voice opinions without risking roles or endorsements. That lack of dependence arguably makes her the wild card in this entire drama. if you step back, this saga is about far more than two celebrities at odds. It's a case study in how meticulously some Hollywood figures protect their brand, even if that means using ex-CIA-level operatives or orchestrating multiple lawsuits to keep opponents pinned down. Candace Owens contends that we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. She claims other A-listers have hushed knowledge of what truly went down with Justin, and that hush money or intimidation tactics might be preventing them from spilling secrets. Each day seems to bring a new puzzle piece: a suspiciously flattering interview about Blake's charity work, a cryptic hint dropped by an unnamed friend, or new documents surfacing online that cast yet more doubt on someone's version of events. In the realm of speculation, the possibilities feel endless. Is it a carefully orchestrated takedown of Justin, or did Blake simply blow the whistle on wrongdoing she encountered, and now she's under siege by an overzealous commentator with a vendetta? The lines are blurred, and that's precisely how Hollywood tends to thrive, in a swirl of rumors, spin, and carefully leaked tidbits that never fully add up. Major entertainment outlets have played a huge role in shaping public perception. Some run exposés that seem to parrot Blake's narrative while glossing over major contradictions. Others have pivoted from their initial coverage, scaling back or dropping the story altogether. That's precisely what Candace Owens finds suspicious. She has repeatedly asked why no mainstream publication is willing to dive deep into the timeline or cross-check certain allegations. If Blake provided phone records that supposedly prove a pattern of harassment, Candace wonders why these outlets haven't followed up on contradictory details that might emerge from Justin's side. Behind the scenes, sources at various news organizations say they've been strongly discouraged from investigating leads that challenge Blake's story. They hint at phone calls from influential publicists or even from friends of friends in high places, cautioning them that pushing the issue might not be worth the blowback. Will the next release of private messages finally tip the scale in someone's favor? Or will a settlement keep everything sealed, leaving fans to debate the rumors forever? One thing's for sure, as long as new clues keep surfacing, viewers will keep watching, and Candace Owens will make sure no stone goes unturned. Stay alert, because in a scandal like this, the most shocking twist often drops when you least expect it.